Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to another episode of Embodied Enlightenment. I'm so excited for today because I have one of the most incredible human beings that I've ever met, truly, across the interweb from me, Dorota Stanczyk. She is a Polish visual artist, a creative director, a movie director, a commercial and fine art photographer and designer. And she also is a documentarian. She's in the process of releasing a new documentary series, States of Consciousness, that examine the commonalities between different states of ecstasy and flow states and why we desire them as much as we do. Dorota, thank you so much for being here, my love.
I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so flow states, if individuals don't really know what that is, how would you describe how to get into a flow state and what that feels like in your body?
All right. So Stephen Kotler actually dedicated a few years of his life studying the flow states, and he found four similarities that are in flow states across different in different people, in different circumstances. And that would be effortlessness, richness, selflessness, and timelessness. So that four feelings actually is what is defining flow state. And different people will get to that state in a different way. But what we do know is that being in that state, your creativity, your productivity, and everything that you want to pretty much achieve flows in such a more powerful and fluid way. And once you are in there, everything you focus on works marvelously. So this state, it's very interesting to me because recently we discovered that more and more people actually are seeking this state. And what I'm interested in is that seeking a desire to actually leave whatever we feel right now to be somewhere else, or it's actually more the motivation to be in that state is more actually to get closer to ourselves in the first place. So it's a very very interesting question, because motivation will be very different for different people. But what I'm interested in is how to create different states of ecstasy, different states of flow naturally, and without using any substances and other methods in order to actually change our awareness.
But I think what's so fascinating around what you just said is that the desire to evolve, the desire to bring yourself into alignment and wholeness, to get into this flow, this connectivity to the energy that is the field of possibilities all around us. And we can now scientifically reference that energy in and of itself has its own consciousness, right? And some people call that the universe, some people call that God, some people call that source, some people call that the divine genius that is, right? And I believe within that field of extension and energy and vibration, there is a version of ourself calling us forward, the desire to come into this completion of marriage, of who we are at a soul level, and utilizing our ego within this time frame, within this time-space continuum to get into this wholeness. And what we were talking about prior to this podcast of like really taking responsibility of all that we are. I get really excited when I talk about things like this, by the way.
You should be, definitely.
And recognizing how our human experience provides us these contrasts, so that we can tap in and feel like, oh, I'm not in flow. And it gives us, it's kind of like the rocks on the edges of the river, right? We can navigate around the rocks, but it keeps bringing us back into the flow, into the center.
Right. Well, there is a difference between flow. There is a difference between samadhi, between nirvana, and so on, in the way how we experience it. But there is no difference in the brain. So it is releasing the same chemicals and give us the same feeling, and developing new pathways in our brain in all of those states. So this is very interesting. Working on flow, you are getting closer to actually awakening. But what you said is I can relate to that. But I think what is very fascinating to me is that we are here and now, and there is nothing really else that is there that is not us. We are all of it, and we are at every single moment, and everything is happening now. So by seeking a different states, you actually focus all the time on not experiencing this state right now. So you are actually focusing on the feeling of missing something. So you are constantly frustrated. And when you return your focus and you just accept whatever you feel, you're actually approaching yourself to whatever higher states of consciousness or ecstasy or the enhanced states of consciousness. You get closer to that state by only accepting whatever you feel in every single moment. It's purely presence that puts you in that state. It's a high awareness. It's really being in your senses here and now. And I feel like the motivation for most of the people on the planet is unfortunately very different. It's to really escape something that we feel now. We don't feel any longer comfortable with feeling different feelings that we feel we should feel. So we don't feel comfortable with anger. We don't feel comfortable with frustration. We only want to focus on positives. And we don't understand that actually without those feelings, we wouldn't even be able to recognize what happiness is, what joy is. And it's a part of the same the same thing, actually. So only by accepting and fully being there, we actually are transforming all of this feeling to get higher and higher in our consciousness, if that makes sense.
100%. It 100% makes sense, because so many of us are seeking the fulfillment of which you spoke about outside of ourselves. And when we're looking outside of ourselves, of course, we're not embodied within this moment. We're looking for the fulfillment without understanding that all the fulfillment exists within us. And the emotional response, the physiological responses that are occurring based on the experiences that we are receiving through our senses, through our sight, through our sound, through our smell, through our touch, through our taste, is just a way to bring us into the now, to recognize what we need to feel to evolve within those higher states of consciousness that you're talking about. So 100% I'm on board.
Yeah, everything is perfect, and whoever we are, it's perfect. And I think the problem is the escape comes from the fact that we don't really know who we are. And in order to discover who you are, you need to accept that you might not know who you are in the first place. And we have this perfect vision of ourselves and perfect vision of the people who we want to be in our life. And we become directors of our own reality. We not only cast all of the people in our surrounding for the roles we want them to play, but we also cast ourselves for that image we have created in our minds since we were little. And every single time we don't fit in that image, we punished ourselves for that. We beat ourselves up, and this is where unhappiness come from. Yeah. From this, being not in the alignment of who you are. And there is a great writer that invented actually a beautiful method of healing. His name is André Charbonnier. Unfortunately, his book don't exist in English yet, but he discovered that the way to live unhappiness and be happy is to either, you can do it through three things: either change your situation, accept your situation, or leave your situation. And so when you think about this, for example, you come back home and you have a neighbor that creates a lots of noise, right? what do? We talk about this. We get frustrated. We get angry. Oh my God, I can't stand this noise anymore. It's getting louder and louder. It's happening every day. And in order to get out all this feeling, we start to talk about this. So we talk about this to friends, to family, to whoever is there, because we have this constant need of complaining in order to feel better for a moment, right? And then it never stops. So we get more and more and more frustrated, and then that turns into unhappiness. And in how he explained it, what we will have to do is to either go to the neighbor and say, hey, could you please put the music down? Second situation, leave the house. Or third, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna like this music. I'm gonna accept this music. In both of three, it would actually change our perception of the situation. So actually, the music was never a problem in the first place. It was however we saw that music and judge that music and perceive that music. So it's very interesting exercise to do with every single situation you have on your way. In order to talk about this endlessly to other people and complain, you need to ask yourself, can I leave this situation? Can I change this situation? Or can I accept this situation? And that gives you a certain relief, right? But then there is a second part. This is what is happening inside, but there is a lots of energy that happens inside of you. And negative emotion can come from, of course, thinking, and that is related to whatever image you create in your mind, and most likely it's a negative image about future that gives you anxiety, and this is where you create some sort of feeling of unhappiness and fear. So you can easily switch that image to the positive one and literally replace it. Once you realize what is the negative image and what is the negative vision, you only need to create that positive image in order to feel better. So this is one way. But we also have a feeling that are actually unconscious and energy accumulated in our body that are creating negative vibration. And these feelings are there from different traumas that we have accumulated from our life that we never allowed ourselves to release. And in order to get there, we need to go inside and we need to feel whatever was there that was unresolved in the past and heal it and release it. And in order to do it, we need to stay still. And there is a lots of feelings when people can't actually understand, why do I feel bad? Well, because there is something inside you that you never accepted, you never released. And in order to do it, you need to go through that feeling again. And so, you know, once you realize whatever your problem is, either you create a negative vision constantly, either you can't accept situation that is in your surrounding, or you have some energies in your body, you can work on that and then move and train your consciousness into learning how to be free from all of that.
Beautifully said. Exactly. So this is so similar to what I teach. I call it shadow work. It's dropping into the wounded version of yourself that you've been carrying around for however long that you've been on this planet this time.
Right.
And we've just stored so much within our subconscious, but the subconscious is still working. It's just working behind the scenes. But what's happening is all of those programs are creating the conditional experiences of our reality. They are what is forming the beliefs that are forming the thoughts that are forming the patterns and the programs and the habitual ways that we're existing. So it is that conscious awareness to drop back in and to really start to recognize, get in the present moment and recognize what's coming up. And again, that's why breath work I think is so powerful and why I'm so jazzed about it, because we can understand things cognitively, but that only gets you so far. From an energetic standpoint, you also need to clear it energetically. So beautifully said. Yeah.
Absolutely. It works in two ways. You can create your energy, but also you need to accept your own energy and whatever is there. And that this vibration of your feelings is much stronger than the vibration of your thoughts. Mm-hmm. And so, but they're creating each other. Thoughts can create your vibration of your feelings, and feelings can create vibration of your thoughts. That's why sometimes you wake up and you feel bad and you have no idea why. And this is sometimes because simply your mind unconsciously was releasing and working on some projects, was working on some problems during the night, and you have no idea what that was. And you need to trust your unconscious mind that it was doing the work. And sometimes you won't understand it. But what we do, we start to glue, we try to glue an explanation to whatever we feel. So we will say, oh, probably I feel bad because this or this happened, or because, you know, somebody was angry at me. But it might have, like most of the cases, it has nothing to do with that. It simply is your mind processing things that you can't understand on the conscious level, and that's completely fine. That's why it's so important to just accept your feelings.
I love it. The mind is a crazy thing.
Right?
It wants to justify and analyze and compute and store data and constantly associate. And that's the known, right? That's the known experience. But it's in the world of formlessness. It's in the world of the unknown where things can really start to shift, and being okay with your emotional state in the presence of the unknown.
Yes, completely. And I think it's also the unknown. There is such a liberation in saying, you know, I don't know who I am, and I feel fine with it. I am angry today, and I still love myself. I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow, and I have no vision of myself, and stay open to the possibility of who you might actually become. Alan Watts said, the future, you already know the outcome, has already happened. And I think it's beautifully said, because we have such a massive desire to know all the time whatever is gonna happen tomorrow, and whoever we want to be, we're gonna be tomorrow, and so on. But when you think about this, the universe actually wants to give you so much more that you could possibly imagine for yourself. And for instance, let's say you use law of attraction to attract all these things to your life that you think are right for you. And let's say you want to attract perfect partner, and you're going to focus on the feeling, right? You're going to imagine this partner coming to you, you're going to work on it. Now, if you've never been in the right relationship, how you can possibly know what that feeling will be? You won't. So simply you're going to imagine the feeling, or create a feeling that is known and familiar to you. So most likely you're going to attract similar and similar people to your life. And only by trusting and getting rid of that vision of whoever you think you might end up with, or whoever you think you might become, you can actually discover your real potential and attract a real person who is actually going to help you to grow, that life wants you to meet. And it's like opening the door completely, you know, from not seeing only one way, but seeing all of them, and then having a choice and using your intuition in order to go in the right direction by seeing all of it. So I'm a big fan of unknown, and that includes I know of who I know of whoever I'm going to be with, I know of wherever I'm going to go. And I think it's been the most fascinating and joyful way of living I have ever experienced.
I feel the same. And I don't know if you feel the same about that, but for me, it's because I had to do the work first. If I didn't do the work first to really break down the ways in which we construct our world, the ways in which I was projecting that image of perfection, of what I wanted other people to perceive me as, what I wanted myself to perceive me as, that was this fragmented version of self that was formed by things outside of me. Until I did that work on the shadow and like brought that in, then it was so much easier to sit into the unknown, because then it's just play and it's just fun at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are so much more than we think we are. And we, unfortunately, because of the society, religion, education, parents, we put all this frame on ourselves, and we constantly grow in the idea that we need to know who we are. Like when you think about this, when you are a child, every single person asks you, who would you like to be when you grow up? How you can possibly know that? You have no idea about your talents, about your skills in that time, about your interest, about your curiosity, about everything, about your creativity. And with the time, different people tell you different things. You're good at it, you're bad at it, you know, you should do this, you should do that. And that become your belief, and whatever you believe about yourself becomes your personality. There is no such a thing as personality. It's just a accumulation of belief that you have cultivated and accepted about yourself. Every single one of them you can let go of today and change and literally shift whatever you are. If you believe you are not good, I don't know, with let's say your cooking is bad or something like this, silly, right? If you cultivate that, you will be truly bad at cooking.
Yes.
If you decide to change that and you actually try and put a little bit of effort in changing that, you can become anything you want. There is no such a thing. Like, I believe every single person can learn absolutely everything. And the best proof is creativity. So many people believe they are not creative. Well, why every single child is able to build castle, have imaginary friends, build homes out of tables and chairs? Because they are creative and they have imagination. All of them. So that means that something happened along the way to you that you stop believing that. But every single child, they're all the same. They play in the same, they having the same games, they having the same imaginary friends, they behave the same way because we have all the same capabilities. So I just invite everybody to really ask themselves what they think about themselves and what they would actually like to think about themselves, because whoever you want to become, you can.
Yes, you can. Right? I love it. Oh, it's so good. What is one golden nugget you want to share with all of those that are listening to us right now? What is one piece, one last message?
I think what I learned and what was the biggest lesson in my life is that all the answers you have inside you, all of them. You don't need to seek them anywhere else. And my story is that I suffer from a very rare disease for over 10 years. And I saw so many healers and so many doctors and so many, energy masters and acupuncture specialists and so on and so on. I travel all around the world in different continents to find answers. And actually, the moment I was so exhausted and so angry and so disappointed at life that I have to go through that, the moment I said, that's it, I'm done, I'm letting go, I'm surrendering, and whatever needs to happen, I let it be, I let future come to me, that was the biggest gift I have given to myself. And that was when life started to manifest in the way I would not ever experience life to manifest. And within 2 weeks of that decision, I self-healed myself through meditation. And so all the tools were inside me, all the answers were inside me, and I'm still discovering everything that is inside me. And I think it's never-ending journey. There is no point when you arrive and stay. And that is also kind of a massive relief, because a life is about journey. And there is no wrong or right way. There is just a way you're gonna choose in order to experience yourself and discover who you are and create your own reality. So I think the biggest advice is to don't take life too seriously. If you make mistakes, mistake is never a mistake. It's just another lesson. And if you really look for answers, look inside yourself and you will find everything you need there. Trust life unconditionally, because life always wants much more for you that you could possibly imagine for yourself. And don't be afraid of just jumping from the hill, and I'm assure you that the wings gonna grow in the right time.
Oh my gosh, so good. So beautifully said. Where can people find you if they want to find out more about you? And
yes, I have my personal website that it's been a combination of some of my pieces of art, and later on this year my book will be published, so hopefully I will have another website just dedicated for my book. But my actual website is moonkava.org, that you can find below. And then feel free to write me an email or connect with me. I will be more than happy to share more of my stories.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your heart. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. This has been Embodied Enlightenment. Go over, give Dorota and myself a little bit of love. Give us some feedback and reviews, and let us know what you think about the topic that we have just discussed. And we'll see you next week.